Hi, welcome to episode 52 of the Austin Downbeat. I'm Kat, your host. Thanks so much for joining me this week. I have a great episode for you as usual, but first we do the rundown to see who's playing around town this week for May 2nd through the 8th. Here we go. On the 2nd, Die Spitz is at Parish. On the 3rd, you have Archangels at Green Hall. Kelly McWee, Matt the Electrician, Stephanie Macias is at O4 Center. On the 4th, Tamika Jones is at Seaboys. Barbara Nesbitt is at the Continental Club Gallery, and big show at the Paramount Theater, Kahlua and the Electric Joint. There might still be tickets available. Please go on to their Instagram and check. But big show at the Paramount for them there on the 4th. On the 5th, Cinco de Mayo, you have Pat Byrne playing at Peggy's Porch Party. Also, Como Las Movies at Sagebrush. On the 6th, at the Pecan Street Festival, you have Scott Strickland playing there. The Dead Coats will be at Sagebrush. On the 7th, you have the band Joseph at Paramount Theater. And then wrapping it up, as we always do, Monday night residencies in town. You have the Monday Night Supper Club at El Mercado South. You have Bob Schneider doing his thing with Lonely Land at Saxon Pub. And you have Brian Wolf doing his thing at the Driscoll. All right, that does it for the rundown. As usual, though, check out your favorite artists and see what they're doing this week. There's lots of people playing everywhere. It's Austin, after all. My guest today, I'm so happy to bring you David Jimenez. David is well known in this town as just being one of those kind of guitar virtuosos. He has a band called the Last Jimenez. We do his first ever rapid fire that I made up called the First Jimenez, where he talks about all different kinds of firsts that he had. So we have fun with that. He does a good job. He was a little nervous, but he does a really good job. We have a great conversation. You will just love and adore him if you don't already. So thank you so much to David for stopping by and spending an hour with us and letting us know what he has cooking, because he has a lot of good stuff cooking. If you get a chance to see him, he plays a lot in town. He's Continental Club a lot, up in the gallery at Continental Club, at Seaboys. He's doing some dates opening up for one of our mutual favorites, Ian Moore. We have a really great conversation. You're going to love it. And I won't make you wait any longer. Here is David Jimenez from The Last Jimenez. It's such a pleasure to welcome you to the show, David Jimenez. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for being patient with me.
Of course. As I said in my text to you, you are so worth the wait. So I'm glad you're feeling better. That was the most important thing. What happened? It was like bronchitis or something.
Yeah, well, not bronchitis, but just before the pandemic, at once a year I would get some sort of upper respiratory thing that would it would kind of start off as allergies and then mutate into this just bad,
yeah,
chest, cough, all that jazz. And and I haven't been sick in years. And
yeah.
this old buddy of mine came back to pay a visit, and it just laid me out. And I always do this thing where I try to tough it out and continue, just plowing through everything I do. And then I end up backsliding a little bit. Like as soon as I feel a little bit better, I'm like, okay, I can. And then it really wears me out. And then I have to take even more days to just rest. So
yeah,
it had been just long enough to where I forgot about that lesson.
yeah, exactly. And one of the things I want to talk about is you are busy. Like you
Yeah,
play a lot.
it couldn't have happened at a worse week. Yeah, I was just looking at all the gigs going what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this project that you are pursuing, The Last Jimenez, how did you come up with that name? I love the cover of
Oh,
that EP. I love it so
thank you.
much.
Well,
And
I owe that to Eric Betancourt. He did the
he
artwork
did
for that
that?
for me. He did that, yeah.
It is so fantastic. In fact, I kind of want to, if you're okay with it, but that you have so many other great photos, but you know how I do the marketing for the show, I get the picture
Uh-huh.
and do the number over, but like I love that image so much.
Oh, please. I mean, it
I,
literally, it might as well be a picture of me. It's just,
I it's so perfect. Good job,
yeah,
Eric. I love it.
yeah.
Um,
Shout out.
I know. He yeah, he's very talented in lots of ways. And I met you through him,
Yeah.
I guess, in person. I've seen you play multiple times and have been a fan since your first strum on the guitar. I was just like, holy cow, who is this
Oh, thank you.
guy? And then I would just, kind of follow you more and more. And I was fortunate enough to see you a few more times. And then I got to actually finally hang out with you, which is super fun.
That
Um,
was fun.
yeah, yeah, we'll have to do it again sometime soon. But back to the Last Jimenez. When did all that start? That EP came out in around 2019, is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I had kind of, I've been in Austin for a while. I had a band. I've been in other people's bands. Just did like the
Yeah.
Austin thing. You play all the time with a bunch of different people, and I kind of stopped doing my thing for a while,
Hmm.
and I was looking to get back into it. And when I did, I'd never actually booked or released anything under my name for whatever reason. It was just always, I always thought it was just kind of like David Jimenez, like I really grabbed me. So I started thinking about it a little bit, and I remember I can't even remember what name I was going by on Instagram at the time, but I had already been told by a few people, you have to change that name. It doesn't work. It's not
Hmm.
working for you. Find something else. So then like I started on this like journey of like, okay, what if I just go by Jimenez? What if like it's Jimenez music, Jimenez this, Jimenez that? And I started to think about like my family dynamic and being
Hmm.
the youngest. And then I started to really think about it. I'm like, oh wow, I forgot that I'm the youngest on like of my generation. I'm the baby. So like not
Hmm.
only was I the baby in the family, I was or immediate family, I was the baby for like the whole
Everyone.
family. And I started putting it together and I was like, wait a minute, I might be like the last one. Like I mean, obviously I have younger
Right.
cousins and there's grandchildren, and this is not my grandkids obviously, but there's
Yeah.
more of us obviously. But
Uh,
I just said it out loud, the Last Jimenez, and I just liked it. I
mm.
was the imagery in my head was kind of like dystopian Mad Max. Like I'm dressed in like truck tires, and I have like a sawed off shotgun. I'm like the Last Jimenez. I'm like that's kind of cool. So I put that as my name on Instagram, and I was like, oh, there's nobody else using that. So I just kind of unilaterally made that decision. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stick with this for a while, see how it goes.
I
And
love it.
it's I mean every now and then I get like a really drunk person at Continental Club that's kind of like, wait, what is it? And I'm like, the last, and I'm like, just here's my Instagram, just follow me. Like, but you can't win all the time.
No, I love
But I
it.
do like the name.
Yeah, I love it when something comes around like that you pick that it's kind of like Kleenex is the brand, but we call tissues Kleenex. Or McDonald's when
Right.
we were kids used to just be like the name for a place to get a hamburger. It didn't even have to
Yeah.
be a McDonald's. So I love it when things take on that whole other definition or meaning. It's really
Yeah.
neat when that happens.
And not for nothing, um, my name is David Jimenez, and I might be the only David Jimenez in Austin, but I'm definitely not the only David Jimenez in Texas,
Right.
United States, the world. Lots of David Jimenez out there. So nobody's gonna like, nobody else is gonna have the Last Jimenez, so I might as well, jump on that. And if
Yeah.
they want to get to know me, I'll tell them my name's David. But
I love it. Talk a little bit, tell us about I always love hearing about what people were like when they were kids and what your childhood was like and what kind of kid were you?
I was I was a weirdo for sure. I was a little weirdo.
What do you mean by that?
Um,
I love weird.
well, I like to I was so okay. So I'm the youngest of my brothers and sisters. I have two older sisters and an older brother,
Mhm.
and there's quite a bit of a gap
Uh-huh.
in age. Like my brother's 7 years older than me,
Oh wow.
and then it's a sister, and then it's another sister. So it was pretty much like growing up with extra parents
Yeah.
for a while there, or it got to be that once everybody went off to college. But I think there's something about being the youngest and being that far away from like I was almost an only
Only
child.
child. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I I was really hyper. I was one of those ADD kids for sure.
Uh-huh.
But I was also really creative, really chatty. I was really into movies and impressions and
Mm.
comedy, and I was just I just I felt like I was brought into this world to be the comic relief for the family.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's I mean, I was a pretty happy kid, you know. I had like, you know, good friends, and um I went outside and got into trouble, and not too much trouble, but you know, like my teachers liked me. I mean, they'd be annoyed by me, but but I made them laugh, and they thought it was like entertaining. Like I wasn't like a bad kid. I was just a lot. I was a handful. And then I really mellowed out. Like I got all of it out by the time I was like, I don't know, 14,
Really?
13, 14. I just whoo. And then I found guitar,
All right,
and
so
that's kind of where
talk about that. The first time you picked up a guitar, what was that like?
well, musically my folks figured out that I had an ear pretty early on. And the interesting thing about that was I was like graduating daycare or maybe kindergarten. I can't remember what it was, but um there was a song that the whole class was going to sing,
Mhm.
and my teacher just kind of realized that I was just singing really loud and in tune, and I didn't really care
Mhm.
that anybody was looking at me. That's the other thing too. Like when nobody really tells you not to do that, or you're not good, or you are, or even if you are good, like when nobody just says anything and you
Yeah,
just do a thing, you you keep doing it. Like it
right,
feels. I took it for granted because I thought everybody could just do that.
right,
Um, you don't understand at that age that like, oh, there's some people that can play football, and some people that can draw, some people that can sing.
right.
So the teacher told my parents like at the ceremony, like, oh, we have a surprise for you. And I got up there and I held the microphone and I just belted out whatever song. I can't remember what it was. It was probably like the Carpenters or something, like
Oh,
We've
awesome.
Only Just Begun or something like that.
That's
Or
the
who knows.
best.
But I just like, and my mom and dad were kind of like, maybe we should, because the other thing too was they were very supportive
Mm.
for anything my siblings wanted to do. Like my both of my sisters were really into twirling,
Mhm.
and so they, you know, they signed him up for whatever class they twirled in the high school band. My brother was into sports, you know, basketball, baseball, what have you. And when I had an knack for music, they just said we
Mm.
should we should see, you know, if we can kind of nurture this thing. And my father's father, it was his dream, it was his life dream to be a mariachi singer. Now he's from a little village just above Mexico City, and you know came came to the States for, you know, opportunity, and he ended up being the he was a fantastic baker, and he
Mm.
ran the city bakery in this little town called San Diego, not San Diego, but San Diego, Texas.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but that's all he wanted to do was be a musician. It just wasn't in the cards for him. You
Wow.
know, he ended up being a baker.
Yeah.
which I've never tried baking. Maybe that's actually my real talent. I don't know. But
Baking's fun.
I liked eating all the stuff in the bakery. But yeah, so he instilled that kind of love for
Yeah.
music in my dad and my aunts and uncles and stuff like. So I know they were really happy that, and he was certainly happy. He would make me sing all the time, like when I
Oh,
would go visit him and stuff like that. Yeah, just all that
so sweet.
embarrassing kid stuff. But
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, that's kind of how music came into being,
Mm-hmm.
and guitar happened when it's supposed to, like 14, 13.
Yeah.
That angsty thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to play drums. My mom was like, "Nah, we're not doing that." She just signed me up for guitar lessons, and I actually hated it at first because
What?
I wanted to be a drummer.
Yeah.
So I was like, guitar, boo, and so, but man, if it didn't, get me, it did, man. Like after like 2 months, I was just obsessed with it,
Really?
and I haven't turned back since.
What go deeper into that? Because I mean, I have a guitar, I've played guitar and I've gone in and kind of out of it, and I clearly don't have to play guitar like you do, right? You know what I mean? Like it's not, I love it, and I love those
Right.
times in my life where I get back and I get my calluses and I'm really, but it clearly is not my calling. The
Hmm.
way that you play guitar, it like honestly, it's really something to watch. And I know it's a different experience for you, which I'm curious about what it's like for you to be playing it to a
Sure.
shoulder to shoulder South by Southwest Sea Boys crowd that I was in. And honestly, it's like emotional. I would imagine
Yeah.
like it's emotional. And I know you and I like you and I care about you just as a human being. So like I was watching that going, oh my God, like you're doing things to that guitar that I don't think a lot of people can do, frankly.
Oh, well, thank you.
But you have to know that, right?
I don't. I just try to. I
So,
just try to do. I just try to do my thing, and my thing has evolved over the years, obviously. But
so crazy good. It's
oh, thank you.
too,
Well,
it's
there's an embarrassment of talent in this town, especially when it comes to guitar. So um, it's hard for me to. But again, when I'm playing, I'm not thinking about that. When I'm playing, I'm
yeah,
trying to get back to how it originally made me feel, and like when something really does like kind of possess you
yeah.
or take you over, like that's what guitar did to me, and I can't even. I definitely know that feeling. I can't remember what it was about certain music or certain things or certain sounds that really excited me and inspired me, but it happened full tilt boogie, like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably like the only thing I was obsessive about, um for most of my life, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was into video games, and I was kind of I love soccer, but like when I was 14, I moved to Puerto Rico with my parents. My dad
Mm.
got this job. So we were living in Puerto Rico, and like I saw the soccer that was being played in Puerto Rico, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm just gonna join the soccer team here. I mean, they were practicing like barefoot with like fruit, like melons, like to like really work on their touch. Like, I mean, just like I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna. But by then, guitar had already kind of happened to me,
Yeah.
and I just it's like all the cliches that you hear, like it becomes like a friend and
Mm.
obviously a vehicle for expression,
Mm-hmm.
and a thing that, I mean, guitar is unique in that respect, that you can get so much out of it with just a little bit. Like if you know three chords and you like to sing a song,
Yeah.
that's really satisfying. That's really fulfilling. Like all I wanted to do was be able to sit down and play the intro to Hey Joe,
Yeah.
by the Jimi Hendrix version. And
Yeah.
I remember at 14, I was already kind of thinking about the um the cathartic experience of that. I mean, I wasn't going through a whole lot, but I was feeling like, man, when I really need to like let something out, I want to be able to sit down and play this lick and just like feel that thing leave my body, you know, like,
Yeah.
and I try to keep coming back to that over and over. And the situation you were talking about, like, you know, during South, like that is it. Like that's what I want to do. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter what I play or even how I play it. Like if that connection is happening and I'm able to like move
Yes.
people, that's it, man. Like that's all I want to do is just kind of be
Yeah.
a little beam of light.
You are. You are. I mean, I know people in your life are probably telling you that. So, but yes, hear it from me too. You are so fun to watch. And on top of that, not only are you like virtuoso on a guitar,
No.
but then you open your mouth and you sing. You have like a groove like Barry White sometimes. Like some of the songs I've heard kind of like, ooh,
Yeah.
this should go on the sexy time playlist. And then you have just that, you know, more straightforward, just like Texas soul kind of blues, you know,
Yeah.
feel. Where does all of that come from? Because you are also, are you in, and you're writing all of those songs as well. So
Yeah.
like sing, write, play guitar.
It's enough. It's enough for a lifetime, I'll tell you that. Uh, but yeah, I mean, singing is the first thing I ever did. Like,
Right.
you know, like I said back in kindergarten, like it just came out of me. And, you know, in high school I got really into guitar. I wasn't singing as much, but it was always kind of there. And when I came back to it and wanted to sing and play,
Yeah.
um, that was obviously like the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then I love writing songs and I love great songwriters and my taste, like that's where it kind of like cracks wide open because it's
Mhm.
everything from like Rufus Wainwright to, you know, uh Kelly Joe Phelps or like a real low down blues folk.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's of course it's Hendrix
Yeah.
and Sam Cooke and Al Green and like just soul music,
Yes.
roots music. Um And growing up, so I'm from a little town in South Texas called Harlingen,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a like a port town, coastal plains. You know, like Mexico is, you know, just 20 minutes down. South Padre Island is just 30 minutes that way,
Oh, okay.
and there was a lot. I mean, even for growing up in a small town, there was quite a lot of music happening. Like not just, you know, border town stuff, but like what was on the radio and
Mm-hmm.
what I was getting into. And I was definitely coming up in that time where you really had to seek stuff out. And
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't, I just couldn't get enough music at that point. Like I was reading all I could. I was trying to
Mm-hmm.
discover new artists. I was trying to get into like other things. And
How would you,
yeah, it just,
how would you, what were the mechanics? Because when I think, I don't know, I can't remember how old you are, but like back in my day, it was like, you know, we waited for the videos to air on MTV so we could like
yeah,
see what was new. And then, you know, we went to the store and I still played a record player on something
yeah,
and then got cassettes. You know, of course, that was the cool thing was cassettes. But like,
for
how
sure.
did you access the music like literally? And what were you playing it on?
Here's the interesting thing because I'm 38. I was
Okay.
born in 84, but the fact that I had such older siblings
Oh,
was a
okay. You
huge
had all my
uh
stuff.
benefit. Yeah, like literally my brother came up in that 90s
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and then my sisters were listening to country.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was like anything from like, you know, George Strait. I mean, it was obviously like 80s country because that was their era,
Mm-hmm.
but also like, you know, all the stuff that was happening in the 80s, like your Duran Duran and your you know,
Yeah.
Depeche Mode and all that stuff. And
Yeah, the new wave kind of like, you know, post-punk kind of stuff.
And then some of the first music I remember, actually, like maybe even my first like musical memory.
Mhm.
Um, my mom got really into jogging in the 80s, and as everybody did, I guess. So like,
That
so
just
she would
paints
go.
such a picture in my head.
Oh yeah,
I
she
love
was like super into jogging. She would actually win all these like marathons and stuff. Um,
I love Hey, mom.
so yeah, yeah, my mom was instrumental in this because I found her like neon green and pink Walkman,
Yes.
and this is the music that she would jog to, and I'd put it on the headphones, and it was Aretha Franklin.
Oh,
So I heard that voice, like,
and
and like you don't know how to compute that shit at
mm-mm.
that age. You're just like, what is
What?
this? Like so I have all that coming, and obviously my parents were from this generation of like, they were listening to traditional Mexican music, to Tejano music, conjunto music, but they would also go to sock hops and listen to like Chicano soul bands that were literally doing straight up
Wow.
doo-wop soul stuff like that. And then by the time they had kids, they'd have their night where they'd go out and they'd go honky tonkin' and dance to like country music. But like bands back then, they would play country music, a little bit of rock and roll, and like ranchero music. Like so,
Right.
like so, like it really, like the Valley really is just kind of strange.
Yeah.
It's a strange place to begin with, but like musically, like it's even weirder. Like it's almost like a little New Orleans or something, where all
Yeah.
this stuff is
Kind of just
mixing
all these
together
different currents kind of
for sure.
swirling together.
And nobody's thinking any different. You know what I mean? Like they're listening to songs,
Right.
in the sequence, and they could be all over the place, but nobody's like, well, this is our music. So
Right.
backtracking, my
Yeah.
brother, my sisters, my friends, and obviously I was really into comedy. I was really into, you know, not just comedians, but like talk, like I loved Conan O'Brien, I loved Letterman. So
Oh,
like that was another way. Like I was like, well, who's playing on Letterman? Who's playing on Conan tonight?
right.
And that's how I found like, Damian Rice, or
Oh, yeah.
or just like literally like didn't know who they were, saw them play a song on Conan, and I'm like, well, I need to figure out
Yeah.
where this record is, or
Right.
or even older artists like Solomon Burke. Like
Mhm.
Solomon Burke did a performance on Conan O'Brien, and as much as a R&B soul snob that I am at that age, I didn't know who the hell Solomon Burke was,
Right.
but thank God Conan had him on,
Yeah.
one night. And so every little place I could get it, and it's so weird talking about it now, where like it's like opening a faucet that's this big, and it just waterboards you
Yeah.
with just all the information, artists and stuff like that. Back then it was like, man, like I was like out there with a little divining rod trying to find
Yeah.
something cool and new.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. I love it. You're also quite you are also obsessed with movies and you still are a
Yes.
bit of a cinephile. Talk a little
Yeah.
bit about that. You light up when we talk about movies.
I
Why
love
do you like them
movies.
so much?
I don't know. I think even before, what, it's interesting, like looking back on it now, because even before, I feel like I was always meant to be a musician, and music was always like the calling and the thing I was supposed to do. But movies had an act, like there was something about music and movies that
Hmm.
really affected me too. Like um before we knew it was called ASMR, like as a kid I was experiencing that. Like I was listening to, like, I was watching Batman and like Danny Elfman's score, or John Williams on like any number of great,
Yes.
whether it's Indiana Jones or Jaws, like the music was like affecting me so profoundly. Like that was part of the interest in movies. But I
Yeah.
was also like, I was kind of a latchkey kid. Like once all the siblings were out of the house, and mom transitioned from being a nurse to a special education teacher,
Hmm.
like the most patient woman ever in the world. I'd come home and you know, let myself in, and like I would just sit in front of the TV before
Yeah.
changing my clothes and running off with my friends or whatever. And like, and I was lucky enough, I was spoiled enough. My all my siblings think I'm spoiled because they didn't have this when they were my age, but I did. But like, we had HBO, we had Encore, you know, so like I would just watch all these movies that were on these movie channels. So like, and I
Mhm.
that like part of like comedy, impressions, like memorizing dialogue from like absorbing dialogue from movies and like spitting them out and referencing it to my friends. That was just what we did.
The best. I mean, it's the
Yeah, like
best. Yeah.
it's a whole other language. And when you meet somebody like on the level that can talk in movie quotes, man, it is the coolest.
I
Maybe
know.
not the coolest, but it's the
No,
best.
it is the coolest because I feel like you and I mean, exactly the same for me in my life with my
Yeah.
friends. Like, I even have my daughter quoting Spinal Tap.
That's what it's all about, dude.
Like, unbelievable. It's so important to me, I guess, because I'm the
Yeah.
same way. I'm the baby. I was an
Mm.
actor. I was class clown. Like,
Uh-huh.
I am here on the planet to make you laugh or just to, like I'm a
Lighten the mood.
instigator in that way of like, yeah, like
Yeah,
I'm always looking for to bring it back around and make the punchline, and that's just
absolutely.
how I'm wired,
Yeah.
I totally get it 100%. And
Yeah.
quoting movies and shows like Dumb and Dumber was a big one for me in my circle. Like,
Huge.
I know
Oh yeah.
that entire movie.
Uh-huh.
It's very important, It's good
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I love
And it
that.
would also like, I mean, like it would get you over in school, you know what I mean? Like make girls laugh or like keep some guy from like just beating the shit out of you or something like that. Like, you know, just like be funny, be be somebody that people want around.
Yeah.
Ar- arm yourself with, you know, things that make people laugh and people
Yeah.
like.
That's always been a big attractor for me is just like make me laugh, you got me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like that's
me
such
too.
a attractor, like pulls me right in. I
Yeah.
love that so much, so important. Um, let's talk more about your music. So the EP, is there more music coming? I want more.
There is.
Okay,
I
good. Let's
promise.
talk about that.
Yes. I've been I've been chasing my tail for quite some time, and but
You
I'm
got
finally
it.
get I'm
Did you catch
finally
your
yeah,
tail?
I got a little bit of the
It's
tail.
a little bit in there.
Just it's wiggling like crazy, but I got it. So and it is interesting, like I mean obviously if enough time goes by you'll make any excuse to like, oh, it was supposed to pan
Yeah.
out this way. But I really do feel like um that I spent enough time playing this music, thinking about this music, and expanding my circle as far as like who I work with and who
Hmm.
I've met. And I feel like okay, I really do think it's time now to get this stuff out there as quickly as possible. I started doing work with Gordy Quist at the Finishing School, which
Awesome.
is a great studio, great people, and Gordy's like just he's the best, man. I love that guy so much. We had a pretty instant and deep connection with music, with movies, you know, like it just
Yeah.
we literally met for the first time on a session
Oh,
because of
wow.
a mutual musician friend recommended me, and we got to know each other on that session.
Ah, I
And
love
then he
that.
had me back, and the more I worked there, the more I was like, man, this is the place I want to do this, and these are the people that I want involved.
Yeah.
And so they're on tour right now, but as soon as he gets back, like I keep texting him like references to albums, like, oh, I want to slide this into like we should be thinking about this kind of production or this kind of
Yeah.
sonic treatment to the thing, and he's all about it. He's all in. He's going to help me co-produce,
Oh,
and we should be in the studio like June, you know, this maybe a little later, but it'll be happening this summer, and I
yes.
will get it out as soon as possible because the EP was really I didn't have anything. Like I wanted to book gigs and I wanted to start doing my thing, but I was like, but I literally have nothing. So my
Right.
really good friend JT Holt, who's in Kalu and the Electric Joint.
Yeah, he's gonna come on the show. I just invited
Oh,
him on.
perfect.
He said yes.
So JT's one of my old, like, he might be like the second person I met
Oh wow.
when I moved to Austin, and talk about fate or luck, you know. He's been a great friend and a great supporter of mine for so long. Hence this story, when I was looking to just really almost make a demo or some kind of like business card on a CD that I'd like to play here. Here's what I sound like. JT opened up his studio, which was his home at the time, and really helped me get it together. And when it came out, it was too good to just be this thing that I carried around and just let club owners hear it. So I just put it out as an EP.
Yeah.
And that was the story of that. So once that happened, the other tunes started coming, and I started playing with them and playing them out, you know, and they've changed. Some of them have changed significantly since then, some of them not really. But either way, now it's like, okay, it's time to put something else out and start working on the next thing.
What made you choose the songs that are on there? Is there a theme there, or what was the thought process in those songs that you specifically put on that EP? Is that kind of
For
just
the
what you
EP?
had? Yeah.
No, yeah, I did have I knew I wanted it to just be kind of short and sweet. I knew I wanted to I wanted to show a little bit of range. I mean, as much range as 4 songs could get you. But the I mean, this isn't like a concept EP. I don't even know if that's a thing. But the title "Some Nights" was definitely coming from this certain place of all the songs that were in that EP have this tone of thoughts or epiphanies that I had on these nights that I was going out and kind of like starting to feel a little bogged down or regretful or missed opportunities or things that should have been missed opportunities or things like that.
Yeah.
So I felt like they belong together thematically, but they sounded different enough where I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like one's like kind of like a cruising, you know, boppy kind of pop song. One is like a straight up boogie rock and roll tune. One is a very deep psychedelic kind of soul tune, but it's like, you know, it's wiggling around in a weird way. And the other is this just kind of like um kind of a cynical statement set to like a funky groove, you know. I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like I
Yeah.
get to kind of be all these different things, but like it's still the same dude kind of saying the same thing the whole time.
I think they work so well together, and I think they do accomplish exactly what you said. There is
Yeah.
a string that kind of runs through them, but they do sound different enough. And it's a great capture of, you know, I mean, it takes me back to, again, I mean, I recently saw you upstairs at the Continental Club up in the gallery doing your thing. And you know, and I think you play, you know, obviously you play some of those songs when you play live. But yeah, I mean, it sounds just like, I mean, it's a great little bite size of what you do now. Can you tell us who's in your band? Because they are
Of course.
insane.
I'm really uh I'm blessed with the people that I've worked I work with, continue to work with, have worked with. This permutation of the band is Jan Fleming on organ, who's just
So
incredible.
ridiculous. Yeah.
He's and Nico Leofant on the drums, who I've known for such a long time and played with in other kind of bands, or some of them weren't even bands. Some of them were just like things that were put together for a specific night. And I love Nico. I love his playing. I love his attitude, and he really does add such a fire to this band. And then Drew Scherger on bass, who is like, I mean, he's no secret now. Everybody fucking knows about Drew. It's kind of annoying.
Damn it.
But then again, like I wasn't the one like to discover him or anything, so I shouldn't lay claim to him. But I do love him. and I love his playing,
Yeah.
and I really love what he brings to the music and to the band. And the biggest thing really is, you know, being in this town and playing all the gigs and playing with all the people. It is pretty rare that, you know, you find a handful of people that are just like into your thing
Yeah.
and really, really like it, really like being in it, and really like bringing themselves to it. And
Mhm.
that's what I have with these dudes, and it's, I mean, it's great, you know, like it really, it allows me to just kind of lay back on that, you know, on that support that they give, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm very fortunate to have it, you know, for however
Yeah.
long it lasts.
I know, I know. Yeah, you all are so insanely talented in what you do, and then obviously you come together and you make this sound as collectively, and
Yeah,
then, and then sometimes there's isolation in that organ or the bass and the drums, and it's just like
yeah.
it's an absolute feast for anyone that just loves music and loves to be in the same room
Well,
as
thank you.
yeah, I mean it's so so good. Do you have regular do you have a residency? I know you play up there a lot, but like
Yeah.
yeah, what's the
So we were playing pretty much every Friday at the gallery
yeah,
and every Tuesday downstairs after James McMurtry. And we
yeah.
still are doing those, but now they've kind of staggered out. So the way it's happening for the time being is we'll do a Tuesday after James McMurtry downstairs, and then the next week we'll do a Friday,
Oh,
next week a
gotcha.
Tuesday next, and
Yeah,
there is the occasional perfect storm again where we'll get a Tuesday and a Friday.
yeah.
But I mean, but we play. I mean, we play everywhere, but lately it's been, you know, Continental Gallery and Sea Boys, which is fine with me. Like I love all three of those rooms, and I love playing those rooms.
Yeah.
So if that's all we did, I mean, that'd be fine with me.
Hmm.
But but you know, we have some gigs coming up out of town. We're opening for Ian Moore
Love him.
at Heights Theater in Houston and the Kessler in Dallas. So
Nice.
that'll be great.
You guys
And
are
but
a
yeah, so,
great pairing together. I like it when you open for him. It's a real,
yeah.
it's a
Well,
real kind of no-brainer.
he's become a friend and a real, I mean, he's such a wonderful dude, and he's
Yes.
and yeah, so and actually Jan plays with Ian as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was coming down to do these gigs, you know, we were kind of like, hey, it's like we're already kind of like, I'll just bring like a couple more dudes
He'll
and
never notice us. We'll just
let's yeah, we'll just have a good time. And he was gracious enough to to oblige,
That's
and
awesome.
again, he's been incredibly supportive and said such nice things about me, and I just
Yeah.
I'm eternally grateful for that opportunity because
He's a really wonderful human being.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I remember being like 15 or 16, and I had a lot of friends in this one period of my life that were like older, like my sister's age,
Oh, wow.
because I was friends with their younger
Oh, gotcha.
siblings.
Yeah.
And this one guy, I won't mention his name because the story is kind of weird, but I remember being like 15, maybe 16, doesn't matter. But when I first heard about Ian Moore, was from this guy, and he said that he was at this strip bar, like, you know, in a neighboring town. He was like, oh, this strip club, and this girl danced to this song. And he claims he really wasn't into like the strip club. He was just there with some friends, but he got really into the song. And the song was Satisfied by Ian
Ah,
Moore.
that's funny.
So he played me the song based on the fact that he had heard it, you know, some girl stripping to it in South Texas, which, like, come on, is there a better story than that, really? And I heard it and I was like, this is incredible. And I got really into Ian at that time. And I remember one spring break, I was gonna sneak off to South Padre Island to see him play at like Senior Frogs or something like that.
What?
But I couldn't pull it off. Like I got nabbed, or my plan was foiled, so I missed it. Actually, I need to tell him that story.
He
I
would
think you might
love that.
appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so like, yeah, just when you think about that kind of stuff, I'm like, oh man, I knew who Ian Moore was when I was like 15, and now I'm like gonna play a show with him. Like it's
That's pretty
what a
cool.
weird life we live,
I know.
you know?
I know. Um, that's so cool. I forgot what I was going to ask you, but um, you have lots of gigs coming up.
Yes.
And oh, I was going to ask you, how do you keep kind of a sense of balance? You know, I feel like there must be a real difference between being in those moments when you're on stage and you're so fully, it's might even be like another world, and then you step off of the stage and then you enter kind of your other real life, right? Of just like,
Yeah.
how do you, is there like a push pull for you in that, or have you just been doing it for so long that you feel like you have some grace jockeying between those two realities? Or how do you keep that kind of sense of balance, and how that sort of trickles down just into logistical day-to-day living, you know?
Yeah, I've gotten better at it for sure. Um, sometimes for some reason, like some days are harder than others with
Yeah,
that
yeah,
whole thing. Like,
yeah.
because as a person who's trying to be creative as often as possible, like it doesn't leave you with a lot of room for like things that are the day to day that are like important things to remember. Like I can be kind of scattered
Yeah.
with certain things, but I feel like if I'm able, when I'm performing, if I'm able to kind of reach a depth that really does like kind of take me away, um, I feel like when I come back, um, I'm a little
Mm.
I'm a little more equipped to, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like when you sleep really deep
Mm.
and wake up, you're kind of up and you're like, okay, I
Yeah,
did
sure.
that. It's when, yeah, it's when the magnets are too close together. Like I don't feel like I'm really living a life, and I
Uh,
don't feel like I'm really um um executing the art.
yeah,
That's when it
yeah,
can get kind of weird, because then you feel like kind of groggy and like,
yeah,
what am I doing, or what's happening? Like,
yeah.
um
Like neither cup
so
is really getting full. You're just sort of straddling and like
yeah.
partially. Yeah, I get that.
And even when it comes to music, like there's a part of me that's more musician and a part of me that's more artist, and those are two,
What's the
just that
difference?
there's a distinction for me, because the musician is kind of more of a worker.
Mm.
Like there's craft involved, like it's there's a skill set, there's a mindset.
Mm.
You know, when I'm playing guitar for somebody else, which doesn't happen too often now, but like I have a couple of people that I really enjoy playing
Hmm.
for, and I'm just versatile enough to do it. You know,
Hmm.
like I can't do every gig, but the gigs that I can do, I really enjoy doing. I approach that much more of a musician kind of thing. Like I'm there to support, help someone else shine. Whereas like the artist is like, you know, the artist is really up in the clouds, and that's where
Yeah.
the good stuff is. But um, it's hard to be an artist every time on stage, because there is so much craft involved
Yeah.
with playing music, and if I'm able to get, you know 40% like lost in music, and like and being an artist again, like I feel like I've said that too many times already, but um I feel really good about that,
Yeah.
like I feel like that's the goal, like, and having fun on stage is like surprisingly doesn't happen as often as it should. Like I've asked tons of people, like, hey, when you're on stage performing your music, like what is the percentage of fun you're having? And a lot of
Mm.
people will be like, oh, I'm like at 50 maybe. And like I'm like, God, it should be so much more,
Right.
because you are operating on this, like, I gotta remember these lyrics, I gotta cue this thing, I gotta I got to engage. Like there's all this stuff
Mhm.
kind of happening where like, you know, not everybody gets to just be Miles Davis and like turn your back to the crowd and just be in your own world. And people go like, oh man, look at him. He
Right,
doesn't care about us. You know, like, well, you
right,
should care a little bit.
right.
And that's where the job part comes in. But if you strike a balance of like, man, I'm having such a good time and I'm being what's the word? Fulfilled or
Mhm.
fed by this thing so much like that there's no way that does not translate to the people that are watching and taking it in. So like
Yeah.
you should always be striving towards that. But a mentor of mine once told me you should never enjoy the music more than they do.
Yeah,
And
then the scales will tip.
I do think that there is something to that. You know, like you
Yeah,
always kind of like we're as musicians or writers, songwriters, whatever, singers, you are in the service industry. That's something
yeah,
that Darden Smith said, and I
yeah,
couldn't agree more. Like
yeah,
you were being of service
yeah.
to the community, whatever it is, to people like that, you know. And once the art is out there, it's up to them to interpret it as they interpret it. But it's
Mhm.
important that they're getting it and doing something with it. You know,
Yeah.
that's
And
what I
both,
feel anyway.
yeah, and you sure give it to us. We're gonna wrap up with a fun little game that I came up with. Every
I
once in
like
a
it.
while, instead of the last Jimenez, we're gonna do the first Jimenez, and we're gonna run through rapid fire a few of your firsts. Ooh,
Okay.
are you
Ooh,
ready?
this could go all sorts of ways. I love it.
That is my plan. All right.
This is my first rapid fire round, question
Oh,
round.
fun.
I'm
I think
excited.
I've taken it a little easy on you. It's not too hard. All right.
Okay, good.
First thing you do in the morning.
Listerine.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I get up and I because usually I go like for a walk,
Oh yeah.
but like for whatever reason, I'm like, let
Quick
me do a little
swish.
Listerine rinse. And that kind of I don't drink coffee. So
What?
Listerine is kind of my get it up
That's
and then I go
your
for my walk.
that's your
Yeah.
espresso. What was your first car?
My first car was a 99 Jeep Cherokee Sport.
Ooh.
And it was my brother-in-law's and he graciously sold it to me for a great price. And yeah, man, I wish I still had it. It was such a great.
Did
It's you know,
you?
it was the last year the Jeeps had those real boxy
I love
look to
boxy.
them. Man, they were that was my favorite.
I'm a sucker for boxy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you name that car?
You know, I didn't. I
Are
should
you a
have.
namer? Do you name things?
That's weird. I named some things, but
Yeah.
not others. I don't know why.
Okay.
Like my car now, I named Artex after the white horse in Neverending Story. Remember that? I mean, it's a sad ending for that horse, but
The car's still kicking.
but the car still, yeah, the swamp of sadness has not taken my Ford Escape as of yet.
First kiss, who was it with?
Oh my God, do I say her name?
I mean,
I won't say her last name.
you could just say her first name.
It was Jessica. Her name was Jessica,
Of course
and
it was.
it was in the girls' bathroom at at my elementary. It was like it was like first grade. Like
Somehow, after this hour with you, I am not surprised.
it
Oh, Casanova.
was
Um,
really young. I shouldn't have been kissing girls in the girls' bathroom in first grade. But yeah, her name was Jessica. That was her first kid.
uh-huh. First,
How old are you in first grade?
um, six-ish.
No.
Yeah, at five. Yeah.
Wow, I really shouldn't have been. Okay, next question.
Yeah.
Eh.
First song that you absolutely just loved. First memory of first song.
Oh man, what was the first song that really kicked my teeth in? I'm gonna say it was from a movie, of course. It was Real Genius, starring Val Kilmer, a very young Val Kilmer,
Uh-huh.
and it was Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Yeah.
That song really yeah, it really did something to my. That's probably still one of my favorite guitar solos of all time, actually.
Oh, cool.
But
I'm
that
like,
like that, it just like it sounded so cool to me.
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess the first song that really like knocked me out.
Yeah. I love Tears for Fears. They were very they kind of mark a period in my life. Like they were
Yeah.
the kind of part of the soundtrack, of just
Oh, for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it was the 80s though. There's so many songs like in that kind of lane that just like
Oh, for
I
sure.
remember the last time I heard it. I remember, like just
Yeah.
yeah, so cool. Besides Jessica, what's your first crush? Let's do first crush on like a
Like
celebrity.
a celebrity.
Yeah.
Hmm. It definitely would have been a movie.
It's involved
What was?
braids in a yellow swimsuit and the beach.
I mean, Bo Derek was definitely.
She's pretty hot.
No, actually, I was absolutely obsessed and in love with Leah Thompson because
From
of
Back to the Future.
Howard, Back to the Future, Howard the Duck,
Mm-hmm. And her
countless.
little dimples. She
Oh
has
God,
the cutest dimples.
she was so cute. I loved her so much.
I
She
think I
was like
had a
my
crush on
'80s
her.
girl,
Yes.
and my '90s girl was Nev Campbell, but my '80s girl was Leah Thompson.
You like
I see a
dimples.
pattern. I see a pattern developing now that I haven't seen before.
Well, you're welcome. That's what I'm here
Yeah.
for.
This is
All
like
right.
therapy. This is
I,
great.
I know. You can call me after. We'll continue. Last
Okay.
one is first time performing on stage. So I feel like there's a few we talked about your kindergarten,
Yeah.
but first like real time performing, I guess playing guitar and in a band. Tell me about that.
Let's see. Okay, this is kind of funny. Um, I wasn't playing guitar yet, but it was definitely a performance, and I wasn't. It might be the first time I was kind of nervous. I
Yeah.
was still pretty young, but I can't. I wish I knew all the details of this, but I swear this happened. I sang. I sang this song. It was called "Grandpa" by the Judds. Remember the Judds?
Of course, yeah.
It was called Grandpa, and I sang it for at the time Governor Ann Richards. I
Okay.
know, and like again, this is no bullshit, and I wish I could. I'll get you the details on this. I
Mhm.
can't remember, but I was really young, and I was at this. I was on this stage, but it was like in front of this like really long dinner table, and it was some sort of like really like. I mean, my mom picked me up afterwards and like, so how did it go? I'm like, oh, fine, I guess. She's like, do you know who was there at the table? And I was like, there was some guy with a bunch of medals on his head. Like it was like this really weird, like big deal, like Texas dinner. And Ann Richards was at the end of the table,
Oh my
and I
goodness.
sang for her. And she loved it, and she wanted me to sing another song, but I didn't know any other songs. So I just sang Grandpa again. So that's a first performance.
I
Like
love it. What a
pretty
perfect,
high stakes.
perfect last of the first Jimenez, our new little game. I love it. How did that feel? Your first rapid fire.
I feel good. I feel like I feel like you did take it easy on me, and I still found a way to come off strange. So that's on me though.
I love it. Oh man, I could spend a whole other hour with you. Thank you so much for
We'll have to
coming
do
on.
yeah, we'll have to do a reprise.
Yes, we'll do 2.0.
I like it.
All right. All right. Well, thanks again for coming on. Such a
Oh,
joy.
thank you for having me.
Of
Appreciate it.
course. Of course. All right, everybody. That does it for this episode of the Austin Downbeat. Thanks to David Jimenez, my guest today. Be sure to check him out live. He will melt your head with his guitar playing in the most wonderful way where it doesn't even feel like he's doing it.
Yeah.
He's
It'll
very
be like the way
kind.
ice cream melts, just slow
Yeah,
and
it's a slow melt.
yeah.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks again.